The floor beneath me was cold, and I sat on it cross-legged. Our bedroom cloaked in darkness, save for the dim flicker of a candle flame cupped in my hands. Shadows danced across the walls, mirroring the storm inside my chest. The physical pain from the recent trauma still pulsed in my abdomen, sharp and relentless. But it was nothing next to the hollow ache lodged deep in my soul. Tonight, I lit the candle for my baby, for the son who never had the chance to take a breath. A whisper left my lips, shaky and barely audible. "I'm so sorry. So sorry." Suddenly, the silence shattered. The door burst open with a violent slam, jarring me upright. The flame flickered and tipped, and hot wax splashed against my wrist. I bit back a cry as the burn flared across my skin. Cassian stood at the doorway, his expression twisted in fury. "What the hell are you doing?" he barked, his voice like a whip in the dark. I barely managed to look up when he charged toward me, rage radiating off him. "You've lost your mind. Are you burning yourself now to make me feel guilty? Is this another pathetic attempt to hurt Roxane again? You're always so desperate to be the victim." My lips trembled. "I wasn't trying to do anything to her. I was just lighting a candle, that's all." He sneered. "You're always playing innocent. Don't think I've forgotten what you did. She almost died because of you." I shook my head weakly. "No, I only looked after her. Every day, just like you told me to. I've been her servant since the moment she moved in." He narrowed his eyes, voice colder now. "Don't twist what happened. I'm not," I whispered. "You made me her caretaker. I never asked to be." But my words, like all before them, were useless. Cassian had already made up his mind. He had sided with Roxane the moment she cried. Wolf accused me of lacing her soup with poison. The same soup I had barely tasted before everything blurred. He believed her. And as punishment, he forced me to consume what I now knew was laced with an abortion drug. My baby was 8 months along. I didn't want to eat it. I had felt something was wrong, but I was faint, starving. And Cassian had ordered me to finish the bowl. That was his word and order I obeyed, and the life inside me paid the price for something I didn't even do. I couldn't fight anymore. Not tonight. Not with the candlelight already melting away and my strength alongside it. "I'm praying," I said quietly. "For our son. Just leave me alone. Come back another day." There was a shift in his expression, brief, barely visible. Maybe a flicker of regret. Maybe not. Whatever it was, it disappeared as quickly as it came. In the next moment, his hand shot out and clamped around my wrist. I gasped, wincing from the burn, but he ignored it. "Cassian, stop. I'm not feeling well," I pleaded as he dragged me to the bed. He growled. "Then tell me what use you are if you can't even be a wife." He shoved me onto the mattress. The weight of him above me stole the last of my breath. I stared up at the ceiling blankly, the scent of wax and scorched skin clinging to the air. I no longer resisted. I no longer moved. To him, my body was all that mattered. That was always the case, wasn't it? He had never married me for love. He had done it to punish me. No, to punish my parents. He said they caused his parents' deaths, said he had evidence, promised if I married him he would spare their lives. But there was never any proof. Just vengeance. Just blood. He wed me, and then slaughtered them anyway. After that, the walls of our home became my cage, the basement, the chains, the silence between screams, and yet, I held on to hope. I thought maybe, just maybe, carrying his child would soften him, that seeing our baby might awaken something human in him, that we might one day become a family. Foolish. So foolish. He took that away too, my son. My sweet, innocent child. Gone before he could see the world. I turned my face away, letting the tears fall freely now. The thought was back, the one that visited every night now. I wanted to vanish, to stop existing. Death would be mercy. But then, like a whisper from a faraway dream, I heard her voice, my mother's, gentle, distant, from a time before the horror began. 5 years, Claudia, she had said, voice breaking as she held me for the last time. If 5 years pass and there's no light left, no love, no reason to stay, call the number. Someone will come. Someone will help you. That night marked everything. The night Cassian took everything from me. 5 years. That was the promise. The condition. And now, there were only 3 days left. Each morning, I counted down. Each sunrise, a cruel reminder. 3 more days. If nothing changed, I'd make that call. And this time, there would be no hesitation. Because now I knew. This place, this life had held no love. Only cruelty. Only death. I wasn't going to wait for salvation anymore. Pain was the first thing I felt as I regained consciousness. Every inch of me ached, my limbs were sore, bruises covered my thighs, and a sharp, raw sting burned between my legs. No matter how many times I told Cassian to stop, he never listened. But it didn't matter. He never truly cared. As my eyelids fluttered open, daylight streamed through the windows, warm and golden, a cruel contrast to the torment within me. It was as if the world itself was mocking me with peace I couldn't feel. I tried to move, but my body felt like it had been shattered. Slowly, I wrapped the sheets around me, trying to cover what was left of my dignity, though the fabric clung to my skin, still sticky from the horrors of the night. That was when I heard him speak. "You're going to the hospital." My head turned with effort. Cassian stood at the foot of the bed, perfectly composed in a crisp black suit. He looked like he was going to a business meeting. The absence of emotion in his eyes chilled me more than the bruises ever could. "For what?" I croaked, my throat dry and sore. "What now?" He replied without pause. "You are having your uterus removed." I bolted upright, my heart racing with panic. "What? Have you lost your mind?" His expression didn't shift. "This isn't up for discussion. That pregnancy was a mistake. I never wanted a child with you. You should be thankful it's already gone." My breath hitched. The fury and grief that surged through me blurred my vision. "How could you say that?" My voice cracked. "That was your child, too." He smirked, cold and cruel. "I want a child with Roxane, not you." I snapped. I couldn't take the pain any longer. "Then let me go," I shouted. "Give her your ring, your name, your home. I'm done being your wife. Just divorce me." But instead of answering, he moved closer. His steps steady, his gaze darkening with every inch. There was a cold satisfaction in his voice when he finally spoke. "Why would I let you go?" he murmured. "This, all of this, is your punishment." My stomach twisted. "I've told you before, haven't I? I haven't forgotten what happened a decade ago. Your family destroyed my life. That car crash changed everything." He leaned down, his voice dropping to a whisper, the kind that made my skin crawl. "You saw it last night. You saw me take the damn pill to make sure I could even get hard." Then he laughed, a bitter, empty sound that made my blood run cold. "I should have done this long ago. Your body doesn't serve me anymore. And if it's not useful to me, why should anyone else want it? Once I'm done, you'll be worthless to anyone else." His words sliced through me like knives. "You'll never leave me, Alicia. You'll stay here broken, childless, unwanted, forever mine." Tears spilled from my eyes as I fell to my knees. I didn't care about pride anymore. I was too weak to stand, too desperate to hide it. I clung to his legs, sobbing, every word a plea. I'm sorry for everything. Please don't do this. Please don't take this from me." He remained motionless, unshaken. Not even a flicker of sympathy crossed his face. I stayed on the floor, helpless, begging for mercy that I knew he would never give. Then, the door opened. Roxane walked in, draped in a silk robe, her long hair styled to perfection. A soft, satisfied smile curved on her lips. "Cassian," she said gently, like she was soothing a child. "Don't be too hard on her. She's already lost so much." Cassian turned his gaze toward me, almost amused now. "You see," he said with a laugh that didn't reach his eyes, "even Roxane feels sorry for you. She's always been so generous to you, and yet—" He knelt and gripped my jaw tightly, forcing my face up. "You couldn't bring yourself to treat her with kindness." He stood and looked toward the hallway. "Take her to the hospital. I want the surgery done today." One of his men nodded silently. "No," I screamed, scrambling backward. "Please, please don't, please." But it was already too late. Two nurses, paid by Cassian, no doubt, stepped into the room. One of them approached with a syringe. I tried to resist, but my body was too weak. The needle pricked my arm and the world began to spin. My limbs turned to lead. I was still crying as they dragged me out of the room. No one stopped them, because no one could. After the procedure, I lay still in a cold hospital room that smelled like bleach and something worse. Something dead. My lower stomach throbbed, empty and sore. My throat ached from sobbing, and my eyes were so swollen I could barely see. Two guards stood by the door, silent, alert, unwavering. I was nothing now but a prisoner in a gown, shattered, hollow, used up. He had stripped me of everything. But as I turned my head, I caught a glimmer on the table nearby. A phone. I froze. A spark of hope, quiet and trembling, lit inside my chest. With effort, I reached for the phone. My fingers hovered over a number I hadn't forgotten, not even once in the last 5 years. My mother's voice came rushing back, soft and determined. If after 5 years you're still in pain, if love never comes, call this number. Someone will come for you. Someone will help. There were 2 days left until that 5-year promise expired, but I couldn't wait anymore. With shaking fingers, I dialed. The phone rang once, twice. Then click, a voice answered. Hello. Tears slid down my cheeks. It's me, I whispered. Alicia. Please, whoever you are, please. I clutched the receiver like it was the only thing keeping me alive. Please save me from Cassian. Before the person could reply, the door opened again, and I had to drop the phone. Following the surgery, I made one quiet, desperate request. I want to see my son's resting place, I murmured to the guards, stationed just outside my hospital door. They exchanged glances, hesitating, before one picked up the phone and made a call. About 10 minutes later, I was dressed and placed in a wheelchair. A car waited outside, and I was transported like a criminal being granted temporary parole. Even in mourning, I wasn't given freedom. Cassian made sure of that. From the moment our child died, I hadn't been allowed to grieve properly. I wasn't even permitted to hold a real funeral. Roxane took that from me, too. She chose the urn. She read the speech. She stood next to Cassian, dressed in pristine white lace, crocodile tears sliding down her powdered cheeks like she had any right to them. At least she had the privilege of burying her child. But me, I was locked in a dark room, kept sedated, my cries stifled. My body was still weak from the trauma while they buried what was mine. Now, this moment, this one visit I had to beg for, was the only farewell I would ever get. When we pulled into the cemetery, I expected a simple grave. A name carved into stone. A date. Something. Anything that confirmed my baby had once existed. Instead, what greeted me was a scene of disruption. Men in reflective vests, bulldozers, and half-poured cement. My chest tightened. What is happening here? I asked, struggling to step out of the vehicle. The driver didn't meet my eyes. Renovations. Renovations. In a cemetery? A construction worker looked up from nearby and said casually, they're putting up a private mausoleum for Mr. Brown and Miss Roxane's future family. It's a legacy site. Their lineage starts here, with their baby's remains. I stared at him, stunned, confusion turning into dread. But my son, this is where he was buried. The man flipped through the clipboard in his hand. Oh, that lot. It was cleared out earlier today. No identification on the ashes, so they were removed. They're moved, I repeated, voice cracking. What does that even mean? He didn't glance up, discarded. Cremated remains without names are classified as unclaimed. They're taken to the dump section behind the property. My heart lurched. I didn't think, I just ran. The guards shouted after me, but I couldn't stop. I sprinted across the lawn, pushing through hedges, my feet slipping on the damp grass, until I reached the back of the grounds. There it was, a towering metal bin that reeked of burnt remains and decaying flowers. I tore through the trash with my bare hands, choking on smoke and rot. Plastic bags tore open under my fingers. Ash and soot clung to my skin, but I didn't care. I kept going, frantically, blindly. And then I saw it. A tiny urn, white and chipped, half buried among the rubble. Its lid was cracked. The label had peeled off. It had been discarded like some meaningless object. My child, my baby boy, thrown away like garbage. My legs gave out beneath me. I dropped to the ground, cradling the urn to my chest. I rocked back and forth, sobbing, howling, an animal sound, raw and wild, ripped straight from the pit of my soul. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Everything went black after that. When I opened my eyes again, the sky was still gray, and the world just as cruel. The sorrow hadn't left. Neither had the rage. They brought me back to the house Cassian's mansion, while I clutched the broken urn like a lifeline. The guards flanked me on both sides, as if I were some kind of threat now. Maybe I was. Maybe they were right to fear me. I didn't head to my room. I went to his. The door to Cassian's bedroom was ajar, and I stepped inside just in time to see the back of his naked body moving over Roxane, her limbs wrapped around him, her moans floating through the air like a twisted lullaby. Neither of them flinched when I entered. Neither looked ashamed. Roxane's eyes met mine, and she smiled. Slowly, she ran her fingers down his torso, like she was showing off a trophy. Something in me snapped. I took off one of my heels and flung it with all the strength I had left. The sharp edge struck Cassian squarely in the back, jolting him forward and breaking their rhythm. Roxane let out a shocked breath. Cassian turned, face flushed, fury darkening his features. I didn't stop. I marched right up to him and slapped him, hard across the face. "You destroyed our son," I said, voice trembling. "You threw him out like trash." His expression turned stone cold. That child didn't matter. Before I could respond, Roxane sat up, pulling the satin sheet around her, feigning innocence. "That crypt," she said with syrup in her tone. "We'll hold the son we'll raise together, not some accident from a woman like you." I turned on her without hesitation, and slapped her too. The crack echoed across the walls. Her eyes widened in shock. She didn't even have time to speak. Cassian didn't hesitate. He shoved me backward with both hands. I crashed into the edge of the dresser, the air knocked from my lungs. "Do you want to end up like your baby? Burned to ash and forgotten?" he screamed. "I warned you not to lay a hand on her." Everything tilted. My head spun. My lip was bleeding. Lying there on the floor, I thought of my mother. The promise she made to me 5 years ago. I had tried to be strong, tried to wait. But now, I didn't know if I could hold out any longer. Not when my child was gone. Not when every part of me had been shattered. Not when there was nothing left to protect. I stood up slowly and walked away. And I knew, deep in my bones, that this was the moment I could never come back from. Cassian was searching for me again. He always did, whenever he wanted something. That night, it was dinner. He assumed, as always, that I'd be in the kitchen silent. Submissive, going through the motions of being the obedient wife who cooked his meals without question. A hollow version of myself, broken, pliable, predictable. But I wasn't there. The household staff moved in panic. No one dared to meet his gaze. When he asked where I had gone, no one had an answer. His voice turned icy, sharp enough to cut glass. "Find her, now." When their silence held, he marched to the surveillance room, fury boiling beneath his polished exterior, and demanded to see the security feed. There I was, flickering on the grainy footage, a lone figure cloaked in an oversized hoodie, sneaking into the rear compartment of the supply truck that routinely left the estate every Thursday evening. That truck, I had studied it for months, watched its schedule, memorized every route, every driver, every moment it left and returned. It was the only vehicle that left the property without strict head counts. My only window, so I took it. I didn't know where I would go. I only knew one thing. This ends tonight. The vehicle passed through the heart of the city, then veered toward the woods. Once the road curved into the dense trees, I slipped out, hitting the ground running. My body was weak, unsteady, but I didn't stop. Not until it came into view. Glasscrest Tower. A spire of metal and glass, towering over the skyline like a blade splitting the clouds. Wind screeched through its upper decks, whistling like a lullaby from above. It stood just beyond the forest like a giant monument of silence. I knew it well. Cassian owned it, like he owned everything. It was one of the crown jewels of his empire, used for corporate dealings, secret meetings, and affairs he never bothered hiding. But to me, it was something else entirely. It was tall enough to promise I wouldn't feel anything when I fell. And that was all I needed. I took the freight elevator, the lights dim and flickering, the machinery groaning with every floor it passed. When the doors opened, I stepped out into the night. The rooftop was wide and barren, wind slicing through my dress, tugging at me as though trying to pull me back. Far below, the forest spread out like a shadowy sea. Somewhere in that blackness I thought was a river. Maybe it would catch me, or maybe it wouldn't. I didn't care. I walked slowly toward the edge. Cold steel met the soles of my feet. One more step, and I'd be gone. This was the end. I closed my eyes, whispering into the wind. "Mama, I'm sorry." I couldn't wait anymore. I couldn't keep hoping someone would save me. I had survived too much already. Cassian had ruined me. mind, body, and soul. He had crushed everything inside me, robbed me of my child, replaced me with a woman who took my place in our home, our bed, our life. There was nothing left of me. Then, I heard it. Footsteps. Alicia. His voice. I didn't turn around. The rooftop door flung open with a bang. Cassian appeared, disheveled, panting. His designer suit drenched in sweat and desperation, his eyes locked onto mine, and for the first time in years, they weren't cold. They were afraid. What the hell is this? He barked, striding toward me. Is this some pathetic stunt to get my attention? Well, congrats. You've got it. Now step back. I said nothing. Claudia, he said again, softer this time, trying to control the tremor in his voice. Enough. You've made your point. It's over. Finally, I turned. My arms trembled at my sides. This isn't some game, I said quietly. This is goodbye. He tightened his jaw. Stop the melodrama. I'm not being dramatic, I replied, tears spilling freely. You murdered our baby. His expression cracked. No decent father, no decent person would do what you did. I moved a step closer to the edge. He lurched forward, hand reaching for me. Don't. I was almost full-term, Cassian. He had fingers, toes, a heartbeat. He was alive. He had a name. And you let her end him. You let Roxane kill him, and then you discarded his ashes like he never mattered, and now you expect me to keep breathing like that's something I can still do. The wind ripped my tears away, flinging them into the abyss. Cassian stood frozen. I raised one foot, toes curling over the ledge. His voice broke. Please, please, Alicia. Don't. I was wrong, okay? I was wrong. I never should have done what I did. I never should have let him die. I hated you. I blamed you for everything, but it wasn't your fault. None of it was, please. He sounded like a man unraveling. I'll fix it, he choked out. If you come down, I'll change. I'll make it right. My other foot rose. I was weightless. He collapsed to his knees. I'm begging you, he said, weeping openly now. Don't leave me like this, please. Don't jump. I looked at him one last time, this man who had destroyed every piece of me. I gave him a soft, sorrowful smile, then glanced down into the darkness. It swallowed everything. Goodbye, Cassian. His lips parted, maybe to beg, maybe to curse. But the wind took me before he could speak. 611,944.